Hello, welcome back to Take a Wander with Shebs. On this edition of my podcast, it's going to be incredibly exciting because I'm celebrating a huge milestone. I'm featured in this amazing new book, Around the World in 65 Years, 101 Stories and Experiences from the Road Less Travelled. This anthology is a collection of 101 amazing stories and experiences from the members of the British Guild of Travel Writers, spanning every decade since 1960. It's a wonder in a single volume. And my story about visiting the favela Michael Jackson made famous all those years ago in Rio, Brazil, and exploring its profound community impact is right here in page 187 in the section Central America, Caribbean and South America. For those who love travel history, this book is essential. It really shows how travel has changed over 65 years. We see the shift from early exploration with writers like Hilary Brad, who mentioned that she was only allowed to take with her £50 on her travels, all the way through to the modern day sustainable travel and cultural immersion. The book covers everything: adventure, misadventure, nature, city breaks, and those quirky experiences. Is proof no matter the decade, the curiosity of a traveler never fades. To get you in the mood, I'm going to show you a clip what to expect from this anthology, and when you come back we're going to hear it directly from those other brilliant writers featured in this anthology. To give you a real taste of the destination in this book, I asked a few of the writers, other contributing writers, to send in a message about their own story. Let's take a wander with them.
Behind the British Guild of Travel Writers' extraordinary photography from around the world, there is a bigger story going on, like Sri Lanka's beautiful wild elephants, something you can do something about just by changing the way you travel. One of the great things about Sri Lanka is its tea. This book is all about living, laughing and loving. Great stories from around the world, but also, most importantly, discovering new experiences and photos. Sri Lanka isn't just about elephants. It's about its Jungle Book characters. There are many animals across the island, including dugongs, which are kind of my favourite because they were thought to be mermaids, and I always fancied being a mermaid when I was younger. The great thing about this exciting new book is you're going to learn lots of things about the world. The pictures will inspire you to travel to different places, and the experiences will allow you to actually immerse yourself in a country.
Hi, my name's Mark Nicholls, and I'm delighted to have been asked to contribute to the 65th anniversary anthology for the British Guild of Travel Writers. My piece is about time travel, or more precisely about time zones, and it was inspired by an overland trip through Turkey, Iran, Pakistan and into India. And it was as I was crossing into Iran from Turkey, I stood exactly on the border, and I realised that actually I stood in two different time zones, so that sort of persuaded me to look at how time travel impacts us as we travel overland. And actually it threw up quite a lot of interesting surprises. Sort of different countries define and delineate themselves by having different time zones. I thought it was important to tell this story because often we don't realise how time can impact us. Often we jet from one place to another pretty quickly. We expect to move from time zones 4 or 5 hours difference, but it's how they travel, how when we travel independently overland, how they certainly blur into one another as the cultures blur into one another. I mean, this had a big impact on me, and I really do like to travel travel slowly overland, because you see how the different cultures actually sort of transform from one country to another, but in a very slow way. Well, what has changed over the last 25 plus years since I did it? One thing that I think clearly has changed, going through Turkey, Iran, Pakistan into India, is the volatility of the region. Back in the late 90s, it was relatively stable compared to today. What hasn't changed, and I'm convinced of this, is that the kindness of the people we met along the way, their welcoming ambience, their concern for our safety and well-being. And there was very much this attitude that whatever the political differences between the countries we come from, that very much we are human beings, we are there to live and work together. And I believe that is one thing that really is continuing to this day.
I'm Ian Packham, and I've made 3 contributions to Around the World in 65 years, including my celebration of Ghana's many wonders. It's a tale I thought was important to tell because West Africa is not a part of the world where we hear lots of positive stories. Yet I've visited Ghana 4 times over 20 years, and it's probably had an untold impact on my life now as a travel writer specialising in the continent, as it was the first country in Africa that I visited as a solo traveller. What I love about my trips to Ghana is the country's ability to mix old and new, perhaps best exemplified by the Akwaside Festival, which takes place every 6 weeks in the palace of the King of the Ashanti in Kumasi in central Ghana. It sees the king, his nobles and his courtiers dressed in the finest locally made kente cloth and weighed down with locally produced pure gold jewellery in honour of their ancestors. The king, amid much singing and dancing and drumming, meets many of those who attend the festival in what must be the most vibrant and joyful of any in the world.
Hi, I'm Chau-Jean Lin, and I wrote the piece called A Day in the Tea God, and it's about Songbo-lin in Taiwan. It recreates a weekend in Taiwan. I felt that this was a really important piece because it talks about a place in Taiwan that's been overlooked. Usually you think of the big cities of Taiwan, Taipei, Kaohsiung, connected by the high-speed rail. But this piece actually highlights the countryside of Taiwan, which a lot of people don't miss out on. And it's a place where my family actually grows tea and where I have tea farms now. So it was my great-grandfather, my grandfather, and my father who were farming, actually my entire family. We used to be on the fields near Songbo-lin. Songbo-lin is important in our family because it's where my grandmother and my grandparents and my family would go and pray for the tea gods because we wanted a good harvest. So there's a big temple there that a lot of people go to, a lot of the villagers and a lot of our neighbors and so forth go there, and we pray during certain auspicious times of the year, including the Mid-Autumn Festival, and we are hoping for a good harvest. And it's developed into a place where one can have tea trails and go on tea trails and do tea-related activities that you wouldn't do in other parts of Taiwan.
What's changed most in the intervening years and remained absolutely timeless?
So what's changed most about Songbo-lin is in 1999 there was a major earthquake near Jiji, and it was a very large earthquake, and it caused the temple to actually structurally fall down, and so that was rebuilt for many years. So this temple was in its new construction, has multiple languages, it has a lot more information for tourists. One of the major changes of the area is that it used to be very, very rural, and there used to be not many tourists at all, actually, and it used to be mostly the domestic tourists. With the migration of help that we've needed on the farms, so the Indonesian workers and so forth, and Vietnamese workers, there's a lot more international tourists now as well. I've met Malaysian tourists there, Singaporean tourists, American tourists in Songbo-lin, and as a result, the area has changed from not just having tea, but also an agricultural area, but also changing into an area where tourists can enjoy and understand Taiwanese culture, Taiwanese tea. And so that's the biggest change of it all. What's going to be timeless in that area is that you'll always see the relics of old Taiwan. So you'll see sometimes in people's homes, you'll see the old outfit of the tea farmer. You'll see the hats. You'll see people still wearing the hats that we still wear in the farms. And when you're welcome there, you'll always have the pot of tea that and the teapot, and someone will always welcome you with some tea.
So when I chose my story, I was sitting there thinking about 65 years for the Guild, and that question of time instantly brought me to think of Egypt. Okay, we all know that the pyramids there, it's nearly 4,500 years old, but there was also, it felt like a twist of time in that I returned on a very interesting project after a 20-year gap. So you have this huge stretch of time, but in our own lives, 20 years is also a huge stretch of time, and I liked how the two fitted together. We can go and visit the buildings in Egypt that have all these centuries and centuries and centuries of history, but of course they weren't just built to be grand buildings, they were a sign of legacy. There's a big theme of father and son, or of how to honour your wife. There's a lot of family relationships tied up there as well. And so I think trying to think of these huge timescales, just trying to think of time and then how things change in our own life was interesting enough for me. And then when I went to Egypt, there is something brand new. And I say that, but it wouldn't exist without these buildings that are over 4,000 years old. And it's a fantastic twist. And I just thought, wow, this is fitting for an anthology when we're looking back and just thinking about the concept of time.
So why not experience something in this exciting new book, Around the World in 65 Years, starting with a swinging 60s, when it was groovy, baby, to today, when we learn things from cultures and we exchange knowledge and we share this with the families and friends back home. And you have a true, not just souvenir, but something real.
Let's talk about the launch. We celebrated the book's opening night alongside the prestigious British Guild of Travel Writers annual gala awards dinner. It was an amazing night to celebrate travel writing, broadcasting, photography and blogging, and the book itself. Let's take a look at the footage. You'll hear from the editor herself, Mary Ann Evans, and you'll also notice the legendary and founding member of the Guild, John Carter.
The world in 65 years, Mary Ann Evans.
There are many advantages to being short, but standing on a lectern is not one of them. This is a dangerous book, and we're giving each one of you a copy in the goodie bags that you'll get on your way out. Now, if you're going home or back to your hotel on public transport and you dip into it, beware, you're likely to miss your stop. I began the book in April, and here we are a mere 7 months later for the official launch of the British Guild of Travel Writers Around the World in 65 Years. 101 stories and experiences from the road less well travelled, written by and photographed by our members. I couldn't have done this without a great team, so big thanks to Juliet Coombe, who helped start the project, and along with Chris, selected the photos. Roger Bray, who was a fierce, superb editor, who helped me choose the articles, and it was a very tough job with so many good stories by our members. So please don't attack us if we didn't choose yours. It's an outstanding book, and it was so difficult to choose. I also want to thank Dan Clark, who very sadly, as we know, can't make tonight. Dan compiled and edited the experiences section and kept a beady eye on the finances. And thank you to Pure Michigan and Amelia Island for their advertising support. Finally, and finally, really the great travel book publishers, Brat. We have a lot of Brat authors here tonight. And we have the managing director, who always wins an award. I want to thank our particular Brat editor who took the manuscript and pushed it through all the hoops to get to us today with such efficiency and good grace. Anna Moores, a huge thank you, and she's on table 15. This anthology will take you from an encounter with a drunken Russian soldier on the Trans-Siberian Express to herding elephants by shouting "mouse" in Uganda, from the mountains of Azerbaijan to the Norwegian fjords. You'll ride on the new train to Cambodia's past, watch a rodeo in Louisiana's maximum security prison, and if you're female, learn how to be a Venetian gondolier. This anthology is a thoroughly good read, so please enjoy your copy, but then buy lots more to give to your relatives, your friends, and people who haven't been further than the Lake District. And there's a great story about the Lake District in this as well. The anthology is thought-provoking about travel. It will inspire and amuse you, make you laugh, and to borrow from John Carter, make you wonder at the joys of travel. Thank you.
Now, I think you'll agree that no celebration will be complete without a cake. So here is the BGTW cake, which will be cut by founder member, podcaster and writer John Carter.
Earlier on this evening, up at the bash, a member of the guild introduced me to his guest and described me as a doyen. Now, that translates from the French as the senior or most experienced member of a group, and fine. But he and very, very few people realize that it does have a second meaning, a vernacular translation. It translates as, "Good grief, I thought that old duffer had kicked a bucket years ago." But no, the old duffer remains stubbornly vertical, although sometimes it's not quite certain. I mean, let's face it, I've reached that time of life when if I can manage to pull a pair of socks on in the morning without ending up spread eagled face down on the bedroom carpet, it's a win. 65 years is not to be sneezed at, but in the long history of travel writing, it's the blink of an eye. Some people claim it started when a lad named Hadnachte carved an account of his holiday on Djoser's pyramid in Alexandria, 2,500 years BC. But if that's going too far back, well, we can trace our lineage from Herodotus, Seneca, Amory Picard, Marco Polo, Thomas Corriate, dozens and dozens and dozens, right up to the present day. Patrick Lefermo, Eric Newby, Michael Palin. But of all those writers, one has always stuck in my mind. His name was Ibn Battuta. He was a Moor who traveled extensively around North Africa in the 13th century. And he wrote, "Travel. It leaves you speechless, then turns you into a storyteller." And that, for me, sums up this Guild of Travel Writers. No matter how we change our methods, no matter what technology comes along, we're all just storytellers. And I hope that your career as a storyteller will prove to be as rewarding and as happy as mine was. Thank you very much.
Lastly, let's talk about my own contribution to this book that I made and my time in Rio. My piece focuses on the favela that Michael Jackson made renowned and he made global in the mid-1990s with his music video, They Don't Care About Us. MJ, as he's known around the world, I was a big fan growing up and I am still to this day. And when I was making my way to Rio, I was on a bit of a journey at the time to see all the 7 wonders of the world. I also knew the favela had this statue and it was going to be a battle getting there. I knew I would have to go there and find a local tour guide, and luckily for me, thankfully, I did. And my story embodies what the book is all about: finding human story in a renowned place, connecting with my guide, being able to explore all the footsteps Michael Jackson walked on, and where the statue is right now with the mural, that's where he sang his song, and it's a holy ground for everyone there. The people there are immensely grateful for what he brought to the area. And if you want to read my full story in the book, you will get an understanding on why I wanted to visit. You have to pick up Around the World in 65 Years, 101 Stories and Experiences from the Road Less Travel. You can find the link to purchase the book directly in the description box below. Reading this anthology is a great way to support these incredible travel writers and inspire your own next adventure. Thank you so much for watching this special episode of Take a Wander with Shebs. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell button to never miss an episode, and watch all my previous episodes from the show. You can follow me on all my social media platforms. You can also become a patron of the channel and support me on my journey in producing more of these shows. The link is in the description.